So, as of early 2023, Sony has released their new entry-level ANC headphones, the Sony WH-CH720Ns. Now, overall, I really like these headphones and I feel that they have helped redeem Sony. But today, we're going to break down Sony's current ANC headphone lineup, and we're going to see how the WH-CH720Ns stack up to the XB910N, 1000 XM4s, and the 1000 XM5s. We're going on pricing. The entry-level WH-720N currently have a retail price of $150, and I think that it's safe to assume that these headphones will go on sale on a regular basis. And these are the newest headphones here. Then there are the mid-tier XB910Ns, which were released in the fall of 2021, and they have a retail price of $250, and they like to go on sale for $180. Next up, there's the 1000 XM4s, which have a retail price of $350, but these like to go on sale for $280, and these are now the oldest headphones here because they were released in the summer of 2020. And then there are the 1000 XM5s, which are the successors to the XM4s, and these have a retail price of $400, and these were released in the late spring of 2022. Nonetheless, if you want to pick any of these headphones up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch shelf down below. I've made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great, and if you've been watching me for a while, you know I can be very particular, so I'll only set my name on something that I'm really proud of. Now first, let's address the carrying cases that come included with these headphones. Unfortunately, the WH-720N still don't come included with a case at all, which is a disappointment all around because other entry-level ANC headphones do. But then there are the XB910N and 1000 XM4s, which both come included with decently small hardshell cases, and part of the reason why these cases are so small is because both of these headphones are fully collapsible, whereas the XM5s, they have a lay-flat design. So their case does have a noticeably larger footprint than these other two headphones. But also, the XM5's case is noticeably thicker than these other two cases as well. So if you plan on constantly traveling with your headphones, the XM5s wouldn't be my first choice because traveling with their case is a hassle, especially when compared to these other two headphones and even the rest of the competition. Now, with the cases out of the way, let's focus on the headphones themselves. From a material standpoint, all of these headphones have a mostly plastic body and they all have leatherette on their headband and earpads. However, all of these headphones, except for the XM5s, are using new plastic, whereas the XM5s are using recycled plastic. And simply put, recycled plastic just doesn't feel as premium as new plastic, and I would argue that both the XB910N and 1000 XM4s feel more premium than the 1000 XM5s. But also, the leatherette on all of these headphones are very different. The leatherette on the XM4s is okay, but it does feel very plasticky. Then there's the leatherette on the XB910Ns and WH-720Ns, which feel much more supple, and there's even a slight grain to it. And finally, there are the XM5s, which have all new leatherette to it. The leatherette on the XM5s feels like silicone, but with less friction to it. Overall, I prefer the leatherette on the XM5s over the XM4s, but I think the XB910Ns have the best feeling leatherette here, and the WH-720Ns aren't far behind. But now let's talk about fit. Now, all of these headphones are relatively lightweight when compared to the rest of the competition. The 1000 XM4s weigh in at 254 grams, the XB910N weigh in at 252 grams, and the 1000 XM5s weigh in at 250 grams. But then, there are the WH-720Ns, which weigh in at 192 grams. Now, all of these headphones are lightweight, and they're all very easy to forget that you have on when you're sitting at your desk or while in bed, and you barely notice any of these headphones shifting around on your head when you're walking around with them on. However, the WH-720Ns are just even less noticeable because they weigh in at just 192 grams. Now, when it comes to clamping force, all of these headphones are big head approved because they all have a neutral amount of clamping force, as in they aren't too tight and they aren't too loose. However, the XM5s do have the firmest fit here, but that's the least of the XM5's worries here because in general, these are the least comfortable headphones here. One of my main problems with the XM5s is their very thin and minimally padded headband. I found that at the 1 hour mark, this headband does like to create a hot spot on the top of my head, so I just have to take them off and take a break. Whereas hotspots aren't a problem for any of these other headphones because all of these headphones have a decent amount of padding. But then there are the ear pads. The ear pads on the XM5s have a very wide diameter to them. However, they're very shallow. So I found that even if you have average size ears, these shallow ear pads can press down on your cartilage, which does get uncomfortable after a while. Whereas with all of these other headphones, their ear pads are a lot more spacious and they should have no problem fitting most average size ears. And even if you have very large ears or ears that stick out a lot, they should still have you covered. So overall, when it comes to fit, the WH-CH720N are the most comfortable headphones here because they're super lightweight and they have a very spacious ear pads. Both the XB910N and 1000 XM4s should fit most people just fine, but then there are the XM5s which fit okay, but I do have my reservations about them because of their thin and minimally padded headband and shallow ear pads. But now let's talk about tech specs. When it comes to battery life, there aren't any major changes here. Now the XB910N, XM4s, and XM5s all have an advertised battery life of 30 hours with their active noise cancellation turned on, whereas the WH-720Ns have an advertised battery life of 35 hours. And battery life on all of these headphones is above average in general. However, with all of these headphones, you can always extend their battery life by using them with their active noise cancellation turned on. Now, the XM5s are good for up to 40 hours and the WH-720Ns are good for up to 50 hours, whereas with both the XB910N and XM4s, they're good for up to 38 hours. And when it comes to charging these headphones, they all charge via a USB-C port, as they should. However, just keep in mind that all of these USB-C ports are strictly used for charging. You can't use any of these USB-C ports as a wired connection with your phone or your computer. Regarding Bluetooth connectivity, all of these headphones can be connected to two devices at the same time, which is good if you're a power user, because then this way you can use your headphones with your phone and your computer at the same time, and they don't necessarily have to be in the same ecosystem. And this is actually a new feature for the WH-720Ns because their predecessors didn't have this. However, if you do want to use multi-point connectivity with any of these headphones, you are going to have to sacrifice LDAC. However, if you're an iPhone user, you should definitely go in and turn this feature on because iPhones top out at AAC. But more importantly, when it comes to overall performance, all of these headphones have zero latency across the board when watching movies or videos on your phone, whether you're using an iPhone or an Android device. And when it comes to audio codecs, the WH-720Ns have support for SBC and AAC, which is a very standard stack for a pair of entry-level ANC headphones. However, with all of these other headphones, they have support for SBC, AAC, and LDAC, which is Sony's own in-house high-res audio codec. However, just keep in mind that if you want to take advantage of LDAC, you do have to be an Android user. Also remember, if you want to use LDAC, then your headphones will only be able to be connected to one device at a time. And also keep in mind, if you want to use LDAC, that is going to take an additional toll on the battery life. However, if you want to, you can always just use a wired connection with any of these headphones because they all still have a 3.5mm audio jack and they all still come included with an audio cable. Now, I know this sounds very basic, but I do have to point this out because some headphone manufacturers are starting to remove the audio jack on their headphones. And personally, I do feel that this is still very premature, especially for frequent flyers. But now let's talk about actually listening to music with these headphones because all of these headphones sound different from one another. Now, first off, with all of these headphones, they connect to Sony's app and you can customize their EQ to your liking. So if you want a bass-heavy EQ, then any of these headphones can do that, or if you want a neutral EQ, then any of these headphones can do that as well. And this is a big deal this time around because this is a feature that wasn't found on the WH-720N's predecessors. However, from a performance standpoint, the WH-720N, XB910N, and 1000 XM4, all of these headphones sound good enough to get the job done. But when it comes to instrument separation, these headphones can sound a little narrow when compared to other headphones, and their instrumentals can get lost because they don't have the best instrument separation. These headphones are mostly bass and vocals, but they still sound good enough to get the job done. Now, when it comes to actually feeling your bass, the WH-720Ns will be able to deliver. However, with the XM4s, these do have noticeably more kick in their bass. Now, overall, the XM4s have enough physicality in their bass to to satisfy most people. But if you're someone that really likes bass, then you're going to want to go with the XB910N because these have an above average amount of bass. Having the killer bass slider on the XM4 is set to 10 is like having the bass on the XB910N set to 6. Now, all of this bass is just dumb fun when listening to music, but it also adds an extra level of immersiveness when you're watching movies with these headphones. Now, personally, I love that the XB910Ns have this extra bass feature, and I wish the 1000 XM4s also had this feature. But if you don't want to, you don't have to use this feature. You can always just turn it off by lowering the clear bass slider on the XB910N. But finally, there are the 1000 XM5s. Now, unfortunately, these headphones don't have as much physicality in their bass as either the XM4s and especially the XB910N. However, what the XM5s do have going for them is that they have better instrument separation and they sound more open than any of these other headphones. Now, even though the XM5s do have improved instrument separation, they still don't sound as open as a pair of Bose or Sennheiser headphones. So even though technically the XM5s sound better than all of Sony's other headphones here, I feel that your average listener is going to miss that thump in the bass. And given that the instrument separation between the XM5s and XM4s, XB910N and WH-CH720N is a very small one, I feel that the XM4s are going to do a better job of being people pleasers, and if you want something with an above average amount of bass, then the XB910Ns are the way to go. Now, when it comes to actually controlling your media, the WH-CH720Ns are using physical buttons, whereas all of these other headphones are using touchpads. Now, the touchpads on all of these headphones are easy enough to use and they're all very accurate. Now, they're not perfect, but they aren't problematic like with some other touchpads out there. However, both the XM5s and XM4s have wear sensors, so whenever you take these headphones off, they'll automatically pause your music, and when you put them back on, they'll start playing your music again. Now, overall, these wear sensors work perfectly fine, but personally, I don't care for them, so personally, I just turned them off. However, they're there if you want them. But now let's talk about the active noise cancellation on these headphones. Obviously, as you move up in price, these headphones are going to block out more noise, and thanks to the XM5s, Sony is back to being the king of ANC after being dethroned by the AirPod Max. But so that you can see for yourself, we're going to jump into an ANC test. So like you may have just seen, as you move up Sony's product lineup, they block out more noise. Now, the WH-CH720Ns block out an adequate amount of noise for a pair of entry-level ANC headphones. Now, these headphones don't block out a ton of noise, and I wouldn't recommend them for flying, but they can help out on your bus ride home. Next up, there are the XB910N, and these block out noticeably more noise than the WH-CH720N. They block out more road noise, and they do a better job of blocking out chatter. So these can help out if you're using them in a cafeteria or something. Then there are the XM4s, which block out more noise than the XB910N, plus they have an atmospheric pressure sensor, so they're going to perform noticeably better than the XB910Ns if you're in an airplane after they've been calibrated. And finally, there are the XM5s, which also have an atmospheric pressure sensor, and they block out even more noise than the XM4s. Not only do they block out more lower frequency sounds like road noise, but they also do a much better job of blocking out higher frequency sounds like chatter, which was an issue for the XM4s. However, even though the XM5s block out noticeably more noise than the XM4s, they do have noticeably more cabin pressure. So if you're sensitive to cabin pressure like I am, then you might want to be cautious with the XM5. XM5s. But the XM4s, XB910Ns, and WH-CH720Ns are much safer bets because they have much less cabin pressure. But regardless, if you're looking for a pair of headphones to constantly fly with and you want to block out the absolute most amount of noise, then the XM5s are currently the best ANC headphones to go with, because after multiple real-world tests, the XM5s block out the most amount of airplane noise. Just be warned that dealing with their carrying case can be a hassle when you're traveling with them. But next up, let's talk about the ambient mode on these headphones. Now, all of these headphones have a decent sounding ambient mode, and with all of these headphones, you can adjust their ambient mode to your liking. Now, the microphone array on the WH-CH720N, XB910N, and XM4s all do a good job of blocking out wind noise when walking outdoors. But the microphone array on the XM5s is much faster to pick up wind noise. But overall, I am gonna have to say that both the XM4s and XB910Ns have better ambient modes than the XM5s and WH-CH720Ns, because they will actively block out sudden loud noises like this. So, like you may have just seen, when the XM4s detected that loud noise, they turned off their ambient mode, and when that loud noise stopped, they turned their ambient mode back on. And here are the XB910N. Now, the XB910Ns perform like the XM4s, which is good, but I think they let in more noise because I think they don't passively block out as much noise as the XM4s. But regardless, I do want to highlight the XB910Ns here because when they initially released, they didn't do this. And I hope Sony fixes the active ambient mode on the XM5s through a firmware update because they still don't do this. And personally, I am running out of hope because the XM5s have been out for like 8 or 9 months now. So, like you just saw, with the XM5s, they turned off their ambient mode, but then they turned it back on and back off again. And I just hope Sony fixes this through a firmware update like they did with the XB910N, because there's no reason why these headphones can't get it right, because the XM4s get it right. And finally, there are the WH-CH720Ns, which just let in everything. But next up, there's Speak to Chat, which is found on both only the XM4s and XM5s, and Speak to Chat works a little like this. Hello there. So this is Speak to Chat. Basically, when I start talking, these headphones will automatically lower the volume of your music and pump in all of the ambient sound around you so that you can quickly talk to someone without having to touch the headphones themselves. Now, these headphones will stay in this state for a preset determined amount of time, which you can adjust through their app, or you can always cancel Speak to Chat by double tapping on the touchpad like this. But personally, I'm not a really big fan of Speak to Chat because it's very easy to accidentally activate it. If you talk to yourself very quietly, that can activate it. If you start singing along to your music, that can activate it. If you start laughing, that can activate it. And on rare occasions, outside sounds can activate it as well. So that's why I just don't use this feature. Personally, I still prefer to use quick attention because it's a lot more intentional, and this is a feature that's found on the XB910Ns, XM4s, and XM5s. And basically, whenever you fully cover the touchpad on any of these headphones will automatically lower the volume of your music and pump in all of the ambient sound around you so that you can quickly talk to someone without having to remove your headphones like this. And then when you let go, the headphones will go back to normal again. Now, like I said, I prefer to use quick attention over speak to chat because it's a lot more intentional. But personally, I still don't like that you have to keep the touchpad covered the whole time that you're using quick attention. So you just gotta be there like this while you're talking to someone. And I'm just gonna be honest, this does get uncomfortable and a little awkward after a while. I just want Sony to change it so that once you have the touchpad covered for, let's say, 2 seconds, they will get locked in quick attention mode, and then this way you can let go of the touchpad and then have both of your hands free. And then once you're finished with having your conversation, just go ahead and double tap on the touchpad. And I say this because there are other headphones out there that have similar features to quick attention, but it's a lot better implemented. But finally, here's the microphone test. Now, I feel that Sony has always struggled with their microphones on their headphones for phone calls, but I think Sony is finally starting to fix that. Now, I feel the XB910Ns have an okay sounding microphone while in a quiet room, but I do feel the XM4s sound a little better. However, with the WH-CH720Ns, I do feel that these are doing a better job of focusing on my voice. And I feel the 1000 XM5s are doing the best job here of focusing on my voice. But the really impressive thing about this microphone is the way that it deals with noise pollution, because right now this microphone is blocking out a lot of road noise. Because for comparison's sake, if we were to switch over to my lapel microphone, you're going to clearly hear all of this road noise. But if we were to switch back over to the 1000 XM5s, it is severely reduced. Whereas with the WH-CH720Ns, these don't do the best job of blocking out road noise. And neither do the 1000 XM4s. But with the XB910N, these are trying to block out some of this road noise. Now, albeit there is some interference going on with my voice, but I do feel that this does sound better than what's going on with the XM4s. And when it comes to blocking out chatter, the XB910Ns are doing an okay job. And the XM4s are also doing an okay job of blocking out this chatter. But with the WH-720Ns, I feel that these are doing an even better job of blocking out chatter. And finally, there are the 1000 XM5s, which block out the most amount of chatter here, and my voice doesn't sound half bad. And again, for comparison's sake, if we were to switch over to my lapel microphone, you're going to clearly hear all of this chatter, but if we were to switch back over to the 1000 XM5s, it is severely reduced. So after 5 generations, Sony finally has a decent sounding microphone on the 1000 XM5s, and if you plan on taking lots and lots of phone calls with your headphones, then the XM5s are the way to go. So with all that being said, here's my breakdown of Sony's current ANC headphone lineup as of early 2023. The WH-CH720Ns are a great pair of entry-level ANC headphones that have a lot of needed upgrades from its predecessors. These headphones now connect to Sony's app so you can customize their EQ to your liking, and in general, they sound good enough to get the job done. They have an adjustable ambient mode, and they block out an adequate amount of noise for a pair of entry-level ANC headphones. However, what I really love about these headphones is just their fit and comfort. These things are super lightweight and they're super comfortable. These are a great option for the gym. The main downside is that you are going to have to buy your own hard shell case. Then there are the Sony XB910Ns, and overall, these are a great pair of mid-tier ANC headphones that you really can't go wrong with because they do everything very well. But their standout characteristic is their bass. It really is dumb fun, and it adds an extra level of immersiveness when watching movies with these headphones. And finally, there are the XM4s versus XM5s. Now yes, the XM5s block out more noise than the XM4s, and they have a much better sounding microphone as well. But personally, I just find the all-new design on the XM5s to be a major hassle and downgrade from the XM4s. The XM5s just aren't as comfortable because of their shallow ear cups and headband that causes a hotspot, and their new huge case is borderline unmanageable if you plan on traveling with these headphones on a regular basis. So personally, from a performance standpoint, the XM5s just don't make a big enough case to upgrade from the XM4s. But more importantly, the XM4s are just way more comfortable to wear, and their case is much more convenient. The only reason why you might want to go with the XM5s is because you need to block out the absolute most amount of noise, and if you plan on taking lots of phone calls while in a noisy environment. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit the like button and get subscribed. If you want to pick any of the products up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch. I made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great. And you know I can be very particular, so I'll only slap my name on something if I'm really proud of it.